Hey everybody, I just wanted to record the commentary on Emily Dickinson's poem, I've Nothing Else to Bring, because I think that poem's got a lot going on, and I think I've got a lot going on in the commentary. There's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot to sort out, and as I'm telling you this, it occurs to me that I better put together a blog entry on why Emily Dickinson, why so much of her poetry features on the blog. And I'll give you a heads up on that one. There's a few reasons for that, but not the least of which is short poems are nice, responding to art is always good, and finding a place to just start that dialogue does lend itself to a lot of other thoughts. And eventually you can come full circle back to what you were thinking about or what you wanted to think about with that much more. But all that is later. For now, Emily Dickinson's poem, I've nothing else to bring. People vastly underestimate the power of flipping through poems. You can just turn a page after half reading one, and boom, there's a line, there's a vibe. You're hooked. In this case, Dickinson's I've nothing else to bring, barely has to say much else. You hear someone in love making a very quiet plea for appreciation. Really, it's a tease. They know they're loved. Yet you realize immediately from that first line that if you're in love, you have nothing. Like absolutely nothing. It's a realization you want to sit with. It felt to me a bit shocking. So with that in mind, let's read this poem. I've nothing else to bring, so I keep bringing these, just as the night keeps fetching stars to our familiar eyes. Maybe we shouldn't mind them unless they didn't come. Then maybe it would puzzle us to find our way home. Dickinson uses that shock and develops a coy love poem. I've nothing else to bring, so I keep bringing these is funny. What if who you're trying to attract actually doesn't want what you have to offer? And what are you giving anyway? I can't help but think these are words, but they could be flowers or even certain thoughts. This lyric sounds confident while hinting at an insecurity. It's the kind of paradox you might want someone who loved you to chew on. So, what is Dickinson getting her beloved? Whatever it is endless. Just as the night keeps fetching stars to our familiar eyes. Whatever concerns these is intensely private. They are gifts of intimacy, only known to familiar eyes. And unfortunately, despite their brilliance, despite their inherent beauty, people can get spoiled. Some do get bored of the stars, if they understand what's at stake in the first place. A not irrelevant aside. I got asked recently about what makes a loser. And this is tough because no one should throw the word loser around lightly. It is not a word I want to use or see used outside of some very specific contexts. Still, I want to know if I'm doing what I should. I want to know if I have absolutely repugnant, counterproductive behaviors which force others to react. I think the rough answer is that when one gets past those who are always acting out, always out of control, They're blowing up at others. They're looking for opportunities to bully. They want to scream they're scared. They're throwing tantrums. They just don't care, but expect everyone else to. There's a more subtle failing that can be missed. Your notion of what is good has to grow. It cannot be exactly the same at ages 7, 17, 27, 47, or 67. It needs to be open to what you've got that's actually good and find ways to expand that. I'm not saying be grateful. I hate hearing that. This is more like someone is doing something that clearly works for them. For example, they've made art, they're reading a complicated book, they're writing, they're uplifting others, they're helping. It isn't quite clicking. It doesn't feel like winning. It isn't power. The gains seem way too slow. These are reasonable complaints. But instead of thinking, I have something good, how can I be proud of myself and build it into more? They just ditch what is good entirely. They may not act out, and they certainly aren't ungrateful, but they're committed to a track where they can't win, not ever. How are you supposed to win when you can't set a real goal? Dickinson's little love poem has a thought like this operating in the background. You're giving your beloved everything. It is ultimately nothing. You're willing to let them get bored of you. It's nothing complimentary to the beloved if you really pull on this thread. However, that's not where the poem goes. Dickinson would rather say darkness is beautiful. The mystery of us is all we have, because we know we can find home with or without the stars. Maybe we shouldn't find them unless they didn't come. Then maybe it would puzzle us to find our way home. Maybe we mind the stars because they interrupt our privacy. It is too bright out. And maybe we mind if they don't show at all. No matter. Maybe we would be puzzled finding our way home. Is Dickinson devaluing what she brings? Of course not. That's the supreme confidence of this poem. If what Dickinson said weren't valued, this would not have been written. But if what she brings is like the stars, then it is like darkness too. All that matters is home is known to both. Something good is felt and can be built upon, but it is like nothing and everything, both at once.